So you're about 123 off that back foot. What that means is when you're squatting, we got to get you down to 110. So what does that look like? 110 looks like that. So we want to move you down. How many inches?
Like
2 or 3. I mean, it's not a lot. Okay. So we want to get you inside, and let's look at where your knee is. You're doing a good job. See how your knee's inside of the ankle? That's what we want. You're able to connect yourself together, and you're driving your whole back leg, which is what we want. Okay, which brings us into our once I plant, and it was not very firm, where you're landing. So 107 is good. We want to be above 110. So as far as your hip flexibility, that's good. That's where we want to be. I'm looking at your front knee though, where you're planting early, and Cole had the same thing, very similar to this. Your front knee is internally rotated, so your hips won't rotate until your knee gets over your ankle. Do you see how now they're rotating? Right in here. They're about 19 degrees variance between your knee. So we've got to, you can see it in this one, right? You see how it's still moving? We don't want to be moving with our front knee. We want it to be planted. When you plant, that knee needs to be over that ankle now, so that you can just drive the shit out of your back hip. Okay, does that make sense? So good angle with your hips, but now we got to get a better angle with your front, with your front knee. So let's look at this one right here, out of your front knee. This is 114. So what needs to happen is your front knee needs to come back and needs to retract. Once that retracts, what is that going to do with your upper body? So you're going to drive the crap out of your front half.
What do you mean by throw it back then?
It's going to physically retract. So this 114 degrees is going to come this way. See how it's straightening? And once it straightens, you're going to be able to drive that chest a lot further.
Does that come with a shorter stride?
No, we want to keep with the same stride. We're just going to teach him how to retract his knee, and it's different. But what happens is his knee is here, so so that's your lower half. We're going to look at where you're releasing. You're releasing the ball, and this is what we call a B posture. Okay, what that means is when you release the ball, that's where your head is, at that line. So what's your head going to have to do? It's moving, right? So what I'd like you to do, and this is what we did with Cole too, we want you to move back a little bit when you start. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Okay, so if you see how your head's there, I want your head back here, back in this direction. That way, when you rotate through, if you started where that line was, look at the head variance. Not very much, right? You're driving straight to a point, and that way you're going to maximize your ability to throw out in front. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to get into the upper body, okay? So looking at stacking, you're doing a good job with your lower half. Your knees inside here, it's good. We're going inside, your hips are going as far as they can this way. You're doing a good job. Your upper body's actually in this position. But we want to make sure when you stack, your chest isn't forward, it's back.
Okay.
And we're moving back in this direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That way, you're keeping all that energy back, and then once you plant the foot, what's your upper body going to do?
Follow it.
Just freaking drive the crap out of your chest, and everything's going to explode through that front leg. So we've got to set up that front leg so that you can get to it. So the upper body staying back.
Because like in that one, I can see like I'm hunched over.
See how exactly, and then now you got to you got to force yourself to get all the way back, and that might be the lower back. That might be why you're
Does he start like that?
not crazy, but just a little bit
Just
further.
kind of conscious.
So,
Yes, exactly.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's good. Good. Once you understand these small things, then we'll start doing the drills, and it just kind of solidifies. And like Cole had some huge improvements. I mean, like, I was just, you know, little things here and there, and we noticed little variables, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then it just kind of clicked, you know, little by little. We worked on it. Okay. It's awesome. Okay, so front glove. Just talked about stacking. Now we're going to talk about high elbow. Let's look at the elbow. And this is what I thought. Okay, both off to both shoulders. And we're elevated a little bit. You're elevated about 6 degrees above. So see how his elbow is a little bit higher than his shoulders are together.
Okay.
And that's what we're talking about, where his arm goes up. We wanna bring that back down to 180. We want to bring it.
So it's okay to be a little higher, just like
We want it a little bit lower. I mean, we're talking about minimal inch.
An inch.
It's not a lot. It's not crazy a lot. But bringing that down is going to put a lot less stress on the shoulder, and you're going to put more of that force in your chest to rotate as opposed to throw with your arm. That makes sense? We don't want the power coming from your arm because you got the lower half necessary to really throw hard. Okay? So moving that down, we'll get better at it, and as we're aware of it, we just got to be aware of it. So now as you drive through with that chest, this is what I'm looking at. See how the elbow kind of comes up? We want to drive through better. So at release point, let's look at your chest extension. You're about 42, which is pretty good. We want that good chest extension. Granke's at like 52. The further your chest can extend, the greater ability to get out past your front foot increases. Your arm, when it releases past your front foot, has a lot less stress on it. But looking at this knee, this is what you're losing a lot of energy out of your front knee because it's so bent. So we want this to retract, and your hips are going to rotate a lot faster, and your chest is going to rotate a lot faster. That kind of catapult action, that's what we're trying to create. So I'm going to teach you how to do that with that front knee, and that's going to really help your chest. That 43 is good. It's going to get even better when we get that front knee involved.
So it sounds, I mean, what I'm hearing is
So at release point, we're going to look at this. We're releasing right here. Right over that front foot, okay, right over that toe. I'd like you to get even further past that front foot. What is missing is the knee, okay? That's gonna help you get out further past your front foot. You're gonna have late break movement, your arm's gonna feel better, you're gonna throw a lot harder out there, okay? The closer you are to the plate.
So what do you mean about my knee? Exactly.
The further you are outside your elbow,
It makes it look like a 9-foot arm.
yeah, you got a really long arm. And the longer it is out here, the less control of it you have. And feel that. Put your arm out there. Put it out there. Don't you feel it in the elbow? Get out in here. Get on the side. Don't you feel that? Yeah. It's elbow. You can feel it right in the UCL. So if we can keep it there, now there's very minimal stress in the elbow, and look at how your arm's straight. We don't ever want a straight arm. We want a bent arm the whole time.